What's up? What's happening? Welcome to another edition of the Minor League Take. I'm your host, Brad Case, and this week I have a new microphone. Yep, I'm excited about it, and I'm going to brag about it because it's fun. But yeah, this week on the show we got Noah Zavolas. Me and Noah played together back in, 2017. Yeah, we played together in the Cape. I was only there for like 2 weeks because I was on a temp, but he was also a temp. However, he did get to stay there the whole summer, and he really battled his ass off and made a name for himself there. So he's going to be on here. We're going to be talking about his journey. You know, he went to Harvard. He's a very smart guy. Going to talk about his journey, and, he's already endured a lot. He's achieved a lot already in minor league baseball, and I'm excited for you guys to hear this interview. But as always, this podcast is brought to you by More Than Baseball. More Than Baseball helps minor leaguers like myself and everyone on this podcast try to achieve their dreams of making it to the big leagues. And, they help us with any kind of resources that we might need along the way. They're really great. Please go check them out. Check out their Instagram, their Twitter, all their social medias. You can find them at mtb_org. But yeah, let's jump into the interview. I'm excited for you guys to hear this. And I want to take a second right now and just kind of talk and just kind of give my advice to any of the younger guys out there that want, that are looking for some advice. I think for me personally, one of the biggest, cornerstones to help guarantee your success and guarantee you're going to perform well out in the field is preparation. I've talked about this on Rum Bunter when I went over to their podcast for an episode, but I have this little black notebook that I take everywhere with me. I haven't gotten into it too much this year, but in season, I'm pretty religious about it. I write all my notes down when it comes to routine, when it comes to preparation, when it comes to scouting reports, when it comes to my throwing program, when it comes to all that stuff. I'm constantly writing stuff down, constantly, jumping into it and just kind of picking it apart. And I think it's good to get all your ideas down on paper because, you're able to reflect on it, go back later, see what you were thinking at this time or another. But like I said, back to routine, what I want to talk about. Routine is going to help get you to the same, get your body to the same readiness every single time. If you got in a car, every single time it was going to drive differently, it was going to feel different, it was going to, the turning, the tire pressure, the gas you put in the car, if all that was different every single time, it'd be kind of hard to, be as precise as you could be with that stuff. The way I see it is, I want to be finely tuned the best way I can, going into every single start so I know how to make certain pitches, how to kind of go about things the right way. Now, if I did things differently every week, it'd be taking me until the second, third, fourth inning before I could figure out what I had that day and figure out, how I'm going to be successful. When you go out there and you're more consistent, you have your process, you have your methodology, you have your methodology. That's the word I was looking for. If you have your methodology, the same way every single time, it's going to be much easier to figure out, okay, what do I got today? How is this going to work? How am I going to get hitters out today? So I think for the younger guys that do listen to this podcast, any parents that, their kids any parents that are listening so they can help out their kids, I think it's going to be huge for, to relay that message, to teach them that, being consistently getting ready in the right way is a huge part of the process. So I really recommend that. And you know what? I feel like every podcast I'm going to kind of want to take a couple minutes to talk to anyone out there that's listening. This is my own personal advice because I try to sprinkle that in throughout the episode. But, when I bring guys on, when I bring an interview on, it's about them. And it's about, them telling their story of how they've gotten to where they are so far. And, the main message that I still always want to portray through all the interviews is that it does not matter where you start. It really doesn't. We've had JoJo on, who is going to make his debut this year, most likely with the Dodgers. He went to a D2 school up in northern New York, where it's freezing cold. we've had Mason Martin on, who, has just been smacking baseball since the day he was born. And we've had guys like Joe Jakeson, who it was about a month before college started, before he even decided he wanted to play before he even decided he wanted to play college baseball. Now here he is throwing 95 from the left side all the way down there, that crazy angle. So, I do want to take some time to talk to you guys before every interview really gets going, and kind of just riff, kind of see where I go with things. And hopefully, this stuff helps you guys. Now, I'm not saying every little kid's got to go out there and get a black notebook. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying, though, is that it's important to kind of mark down your routine and have a way to consistently feel like your body's ready to go to battle, ready to go into the game, ready to do whatever. So that was just my little 2 cents I wanted to throw in there. There's more things I do want to talk about, but that was just one of the first things I wanted to talk about. So anyways, let's get into the interview. Noah Zavolas, Harvard grad, smart kid, great guy, maker of wood. That was weird. Here's the interview. Hope you guys enjoy. Noah Zavolas, thanks for joining the podcast, man. How you doing, buddy?
I'm all right, dude. It is good to be here. Good to be back talking with you. It's been a long time.
It's been a very long time. Me and you have maybe shot a couple messages back and forth over the years, but not much.
Yeah, your name has come up though in turn, like the just baseball being a real small world. There was a Brad Case sighting at an NYU baseball practice a while back, and JT Bernard, who was NYU, transferred to NYU for his 5th year.
Yes, so
Harvard, yeah.
That's a quick funny story. I moved to New York City for the off season, and as I was there, like I needed someone to throw with, and I knew this girl, and she was like, "Oh yeah, I know all the NYU baseball guys," and she got me in touch with them, and I was, riding my bike up to the East Village every day to go throw with some guys. Yeah,
that's pretty sweet. That sounds like a great gig.
It was funny too. Like, I'm throwing with like the East River right next to me. It was pretty cool, and yeah, I enjoyed it. But yeah, no, that's funny. Yeah, I forgot about that. But let's get into what you're here for. Talk about your journey, talk about your story, talk about how you've had success and where you come from and everything. So let's start with where we start with everybody. Kind of give me an idea of what high school baseball looked like for Noah Zavolas.
Well, high school baseball in Massachusetts is probably very similar to high school baseball in New York State. In that you got 20 games every spring, 25 if you made it all the way to the state championship, which really meant that the majority of your recruiting stuff that was going to happen during the summer unless you were an absolute stud, and that was certainly not me. Basically played on the freshman team as a freshman, JV as a sophomore, didn't crack varsity until a junior, and even then, took me a little while to get into that season before I kind of had a breakout game, and people said, "Oh, okay, like I guess you can pitch a little bit." And from there, it was the summer after that junior year that kind of legitimized and solidified, and then created some interest from some colleges. And it really wasn't until the end of that summer that Harvard came knocking, and it really wasn't. It was a very fortuitous occasion in that I was at a showcase called the Head First.
Yeah, I just had Ryan Smith on, who played at Princeton, he was at that too, and it's a very you have to have like the right grades to even get into that, right?
I don't think they cut it. It's just like if your grades aren't of that tier, then it doesn't really make sense for you to go and play in front of those schools. So I happened to be placed on a team with a kid that Harvard was really high on. They were after him. I think he had received an offer from Yale at the showcase. So he was a big name. Yeah. And just completely randomly, he and I were put on the same team. The Harvard coach came to see him. He threw well. I pitched after him and threw well. And that kind of set everything in motion. That was the first domino. They invited me to their camp 3 weeks later.
Damn. Yeah.
And basically got a phone call the next day saying, "Hey, do you want a roster spot?"
That's awesome. Yes, that's fantastic. Yeah.
So it was, and I grew up 25 minutes from the school and had never been to campus.
Wow. I knew you were a Mass guy. I didn't know you were that close though.
Yeah, very close. But it had just never really been something that was talked about or thought about. I wanted to play baseball at a very good school, and I had the grades to do it. But Harvard was kind of, just,
you saw it as something like a mountain peak just too far away to even try to climb.
Yeah, it was never even the kind of thing where I was like, wow, if I could go to Harvard, that would be awesome. I was thinking NESCAC schools, Amherst, Bates, Bowdoin, and I was over the moon. I was ecstatic that I would get a chance to play 4 more years of baseball.
Yeah.
And so in that sense, some of those phone calls, letting Coach Leonard and and those guys at Amherst and Bates and Bowdoin know that, like, hey, I'm going to go to Harvard.
When you get a chance to go to Harvard, you got to take it.
Yeah, and to their credit, they were all just phenomenal, saying exactly what you said, and that was awesome. Those can be very difficult conversations, and they made it really, really seamless to kind of disengage in that sense.
That's good, man. That's great. It's just cool. Like, I mean, it's gotta be surreal, kind of like going through that process, and you're like, I don't know, for me, at least growing up, I'm sure Yale is a great school too, but like Harvard is like, it's Harvard. It's this known as the best school in the whole country.
Well, yeah, it's the place where guys like Edwin Awolo go, who are MPs and they have so much talent coming out, just coming out their ears, that they have a violin habit that they can just whip out as a senior that no one knew about.
You guys didn't know?
No, dude. So this was the year after I graduated, but apparently he had approached Coach Decker, our head coach, about playing the national anthem before. I think it was a Columbia series, so a fairly big series.
Let's give everyone a little bit of context right now. Edwin Awolo is a kid that both of us know from. I think I played with him when I was like 16, and then he went on and played at Harvard with Noah. And all right, we take it from there.
Yeah, well, so I believe he got into school on his own and walked onto the team as kind of a middle infielder type, can swing it a little bit, just jack of all trades. And one of those trades, we found out later, was playing the violin. To the point where he not only played before the Harvard Columbia game, he was then invited to Fenway to play before a Red Sox game.
Dude, that is his profile picture on all social media.
And, I mean, wouldn't it be yours?
Oh,
right?
Absolutely, yeah.
It's incredible. But in any case, he's the type of guy that I was like, all right, yeah, they go to Harvard, right?
Yeah.
So it wasn't the kind of thing where even with good grades in high school and a fairly decent baseball career at Acton Boxborough and some significant support from Coach Bracella, it wasn't, I wasn't thinking, Ivy League is the where I'm going to wind up. It was, hey, I'm going to go to the NESCAC, and that's going to be awesome.
And then you show up to Harvard, and what were some of your kind of first impressions? Were you nervous going in there? Because it's, like we said, it's Harvard. It's one of the best academic schools in the country. Were you a little nervous or intimidated?
No, it wasn't that. I was just very quickly baptized to the fact that because it is Harvard and because so many, incredibly smart and intelligent and creative people wind up there, you get onto a baseball team. And that's not the sole focus for every single player on the team. And that was a little bit difficult to wrap my head around, because I had always considered college baseball as you don't get to that level if baseball isn't your number one focus. And that's not to say that guys were, took advantage of it, but you just had very different ways of going about the college baseball experience to an extent that I don't think you would get at a lot of other schools. Just the idea that you can't show up early to practice or stay late because you've got class until 5, and then you got to go back across the river for lab, and somewhere in there you got to eat too.
Yeah.
So, for me, that was not what I wanted to do. I was not a pre-med or an engineering major.
I do know your major, so I'm excited for you to talk about this right now.
Yeah. And so, it really just kind of popped into my head that, all right, like guys do with this experience a lot of different things, and that's okay. Especially at a place like Harvard, you have to make choices. It's a necessity in order to make sure that you're not committing 30 hours to every single day. And so somewhere in there, you got to eat, you got to sleep, you got to go to practice and be at practice.
Yeah, it's part of the college experience and growing up and learning, how to manage all your time. And
Oh,
practice
certainly.
with lift and all that stuff, and in between is definitely makes it more complicated.
Yeah, and one of the things I quickly realized was that I was very fortunate in that because it wasn't a major D1, we didn't have some of the time constraints like you have to go to a study hall or you have to live with teammates or you have to take these certain classes or do these certain majors. And to that extent, you could make it what you wanted to. And so I carved out a nice little lifestyle where I was able to spend as much time on baseball as I wanted to, while also getting a lot of the academic experience. And that served me really well. I got out of there um, in 4 years. I was a
Yeah, with a
senior
Harvard
time.
degree. And
Yeah,
what is the degree in? Just so we all know.
psychology.
Wait, is psychology?
Yep.
Wait, all right. Justin doesn't know what he's talking about. Then he thought it was like woodworking or something.
Who's Justin? Oh, Hageman.
Hageman.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
you put up the stuff on Instagram too with you like cutting wood and like making bats.
yes, this is true. This is true. And actually, he's not wrong. I was able to marry those two interests. My senior year, I created a course called the Psychology of Craftsmanship.
You created a course.
I created a course. You can do an independent study and get credit for it. And so I knew early on that I had finished my requirements by senior spring, so I was going to have kind of a free semester to take electives essentially.
That's not bad, yeah.
And so I started early, and one of the things that I had gravitated towards was the wood shop in the basement of my dorm, which, I mean, you're not going to get that anywhere else in the country, right?
No, not at all. But this is all right. This is great.
Yeah, well, and that's something that I've been doing my whole life. It didn't start at school.
Okay.
Yeah, so my granddad was a sailboat builder. So anytime we visited them, it was like, what's granddad working on? And my dad is a phenomenal handyman. He's done just about anything from plumbing to wiring to fine carpentry. My mom knits, so like working with
working with your hands and tools and all that stuff is pretty familiar for you.
Very much so. I grew up in that environment, and I went to a large public high school with one of the last industrial arts programs in the state.
All right.
So basically, eighth period every day was just me going to the wood shop and making a mess for 4 years. And that was, I mean, I was over the moon. I still have all those projects and learned a lot. And then, got to Harvard and was very fortunate to be randomly assigned to the upper class house that had a wood shop in its basement.
That's pretty lucky too.
Yeah. It was just one of those kind of fait accompli. And so I spent a lot of time in there too. And senior year rolls around, I said, I have an opportunity to basically get credit for doing this, for spending time in the wood shop that I would spend there anyway, for reading books about woodworking that I would read anyway. And so Justin's not wrong in that, it was part of my academic curriculum. If you want to term it that way. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I already recorded the intro for this, and then I was talking about how you are a maker of wood and things like that. And I was like, you trust me, guys, you're going to see. And turns out I'm wrong. You're a psychology major from Harvard, which is still incredible. Nice. Huh?
Yeah. No, that's something I've tried to continue to do even once I've left college and got a little shop here at my mom's house. And I mean, just about anything you can imagine, I've at least tried to make. I got a stack of bats over there in the corner that I've turned at various times in my life.
You excited to get to try to use them this year?
Oh God, yeah.
Oh my God, are we gonna be able to hit
one bat in AA with a stick that I turned? That would be really cool.
That's really awesome. Cool. Hopefully we do get to hit. I think we're gonna be able to, because I mean, as far as I can tell, the big leagues has
there's no universal DH.
So we're gonna have to hit. This is gonna be fun.
Yeah,
it'll be a good time. But let's kind of jump back on track from aside from hitting. With your psychology background, do you kind of is there a lot of major things that you learned through your studies that you use now with baseball, whether it's a mindset or it's interacting with teammates and being able to communicate better? Is there anything you picked up?
Yeah, and I think it's a lot of learning why that education was relevant as I move forward. I think you kind of understand, especially in such a diverse environment like a pro baseball clubhouse, where you've got an 18-year-old Latin kid that doesn't speak the language, an 18-year-old kid from Mississippi that also doesn't really speak the language, and then college graduates and everything in between, right? So having that education and the background to understand kind of why people make the decisions that they do, which was something I focused on in school, kind of the social psych, the organizational behavior piece, has really lent itself well. But I certainly don't think that that's the only reason that I've gotten along in pro ball. Gotten a lot
It's
of
definitely
good
been
advice.
something to help, though.
Absolutely. It's something to look back on and say, okay, here's why I think this way, or here's why someone else thinks that way, and here are their motivations for doing it. And baseball is one of those professions, I guess, where it can be very, very difficult to just kind of hone in on what you can control and let everything else wash off your shoulders.
Yeah.
And the mindfulness aspect of psych, I took a course on mindfulness, would have been my junior year, and that has really played well in pro ball. Just kind of understanding where I am, what I can do to influence that, and what I can't do. And all of my attention is diverted to the former, not the latter.
Yeah, a big saying I've been like trying to like go over more and more in my head lately is be where your feet are.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Which I think is a great mindset. And then I kind of came across it though by like thinking about my footwork while I'm throwing. I was like, all right, try to like be in my feet more and like all of that. But then I started realizing, that's such a great saying though, to, make sure that you're so mindful and conscious of what's going on around you and the people around you, and not be thinking too far in the future, too far in the past, just, what's right now, what's going on.
Well, and particularly as someone who's had that student athlete experience, you and I both have gone through it, where college has taken you to a bunch of different places, and in the span of an hour, you could be in class, lunch, and then practice. And so you really do need to be where your feet are. You can't be thinking about class when you're on the ball field, and you can't be thinking about baseball when you're in class, because you have to maximize your time in each of those.
I did a little. I didn't really focus too much in class, but
yeah, you and me both.
I wasn't a Harvard kid.
Sometimes you're pulling up the scouting report, but either way.
Exactly. Yeah. All right, but let's dive more into your college baseball experience, because we've already talked about plenty of college. I don't want to roast you right now, but the first years of college were a little tougher for you.
The first 3 were tough.
Yeah.
First 2 were minimal. The third was just not so good, and then it wasn't until year 4 that I put a few things together.
Which clearly things changed, and what do you think really changed though? During that time, because freshman and sophomore year, you're having an 8 and a 7 ERA. Did you start training differently? Did you get bigger, stronger? What was the big thing that changed for Noah Zavolas?
I got better, and that is a very general term that influences a lot of different things. So growing up, I never threw really hard, and that was always okay because I was in the zone. I could throw a couple different pitches, and up through senior year of high school, my 84, 85 played really well because I could throw a curveball, I could throw a changeup, and all of that was great. I show up to college, and all of a sudden, like, that's not really going to cut it. Yeah. Not on a staff where some guys, not everyone, but some guys were up above 90. I guess we didn't have too many mid 90s guys at that point. But even still, I mean, there was a disconnect between what worked for me in high school and what was going to allow me to be successful in college. And it took me a little while to kind of find the happy medium between, is it strength? Is it speed? So from a training perspective, I was kind of yo-yoing back and forth the first 2 years. Mm-hmm. And then, I met some really influential people. Obviously, I'd known the folks at Cressy in Massachusetts.
I was going to ask, is that when you started heading up there?
No, I've been at Cressy since I was 11.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's, and those habits that were ingrained early on, none of that ever changed. They just started to pay dividends at the college level a little bit later than normal. So okay. I bloomed late by kind of trusting that, these are really smart people, and the advice that I've gotten from them will serve me right. I just kind of have to stay that course. Then I added in Mike Reinold over at Champion PT and Performance, and he was I believe, director of PT for the Red Sox for a while. And I found him. I had like some shoulder soreness my sophomore year, and together with him and my dad, we kind of built out this reclamation project. So the summer after my sophomore year, the whole plan was to go to the Yawkey League, which is a a city league. It was
basically, I haven't heard of them.
Yeah, it's one of the oldest amateur baseball leagues in the country, and you could see a high school kid, you could see his dad in that league, and often in the same line, right?
Yeah.
So this was a perfect kind of testing ground for a lot of different things. I had finally gotten healthy. I was feeling good, but I wasn't really feeling like a pitcher. And that was because the past 2 years I hadn't thrown more than 15 innings. And so with Reinhold's kind of attention to the specificity of the pitching delivery, in terms of strength and conditioning and like shoulder stability, mobility, strength, as well as Cressy's workouts. I was training remotely at that time and living on campus. I would basically show up to the ball field every Thursday or Friday, start and throw however much I wanted to. It was basically a blank check that they wrote. They said, hey, you just let us know when you want to pitch and you can pitch as much as you want. And that was the best thing for me. The Charlestown Townies have a special place in my heart because it was really a place for me to kind of regain the love of the game and find myself on the mound again.
Yeah. You were just going out there and having fun and just figuring out new things and doing whatever you could to get out.
Exactly. And I was doing it with, 9 or 10 other guys. If we were lucky, sometimes we had 8, but that just wanted to be there and play baseball. There was no other motivation to show up and throw the uniform on, but okay, I like the game and I'd like to continue playing.
Those days are some of the best days of baseball.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, I love playing. I love being a professional baseball player, but man, those are some great days when you just go out there and you're just having fun.
Yeah. And you can't, it's hard to find those types of leagues, those types of environments. Yeah. But it was kind of not a pause, but a much lower stress environment. Like I wasn't competing for pro scouts or college coaches or anything like that. It was just, hey, I want to see if I can get better.
Okay.
And it was my lab.
This was going into junior year.
Yes. And gotcha. So that summer was bookended by 2 stints on the Cape in Wareham.
Yes. Yeah.
And so, and that factored in heavily too, because the first time I went down to the Cape, this was right at the beginning. What you and I did the next summer in that training camp week.
Yeah.
But different from our summer, we went and played FCBL and NECBL teams in other leagues that, had already started. And I mean, basically this was just like a completely different environment from college baseball where you come down like, hey, you're on the Cape, so you must be decent. You throw the uniform on.
Yeah.
And you just go out and throw your couple innings. And we were kind of, barnstorming. We would play a few games at home. We went up to Muzzy Field in Bristol, Connecticut, which was so cool. Like this was my first experience in, here one day, gone the next type of baseball. And I loved it. I didn't know that I would, but I did. And I was only there because our third baseman at the time, John Fallon, had lit up the University of Florida that spring. And so the gateman had kind of
reached out to him. Yeah.
Yeah. They were looking at him. They said, hey, you come down. And then I was walking into the college locker room one day, and this was after our season was over, and our head coach says, hey, you want to go play on the Cape? I was like, yeah, okay, sure.
Want to go play in the best college baseball league in the world?
Yeah. I'm like, where do I sign? Right. Kidding. And
how much do I have to pay?
Yeah. Well, it was nothing.
I know. Yeah. That's the best part about it.
I got to go down because they were just looking for an arm to fill a couple innings that week.
Yeah.
So that summer, the summer before us, because they brought 20 pitchers our summer, right? They had brought like
there was a million, and it's kind of cool now, like looking back, and there's so many guys that I know that still play pro ball. Like Frankie German just got traded. I'm living with Justin.
Yeah.
I know you.
Wolfram.
Wolfram. Oh yeah, I forget about him.
That whole team almost is still playing.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys there,
and even a lot of the guys that got cut early on, like Brandon Lockridge. You remember him?
Yeah, dude, he's with the Yankees. He tears it up.
Yeah, he was like
every time
4th, 5th rounder.
Yeah, dude. Every time we play them, I'm like, my God, I don't want. This is a kid I don't want to face right now.
Yeah.
You remember Garrett Leonard? He was my team. He was my college teammate.
Another righty, kind of longish hair.
Yeah, he ended up getting drafted by the Pirates too. Like the list just goes on and on.
Yeah.
But
so
anyways,
in any case, that all came together, not even because of me, just because they needed a generic extra arm, right? And I pitched well in that one or two out. It was 2 outings. It was really well, like surprisingly well, to the point where I was like, okay, this is great. Maybe they'll let me stay. They didn't. They cut me. But they said, hey, just kind of let us know throughout the summer what you're up to. And I thought, yeah, right, whatever. But I got a text from the GM, Andy Lang, later on in the summer. He's like, hey, what have you been doing? So I've been pitching in the Yawkey League. Here are my numbers. Not that they would have cared about Yawkey League numbers, but the point was, they're like, we need a guy to come down and throw like 50 pitches. Can you do it? Like, yes.
You're like, absolutely.
Yeah. And so they said, okay, come down, throw a bullpen just to make sure. I went, I threw. Jerry was there. He watched. He was like, all right, throw 1 pitch as hard as you can. I threw it. I don't know. Maybe it was like 87. So I was lucky. But in any case, it was like, all right, yeah, stay. And so I got to finish out that season. It was only 2 weeks. But that was the end of my summer, right before going into junior year. And that was like, okay, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Like I need to do whatever I can to get back to Wareham.
That's awesome. I mean, so far at this point, like you've had 2 college seasons, which didn't go the way you wanted them, but you've now gotten a taste of success. And you've gotten a taste of, college baseball, some of the best baseball in the country.
Yeah, like big time college baseball.
Going into junior year, you must have felt like your hair was on fire almost.
I did. And I was also fortunate in that we had, I think, 5 guys quit that year, which is just an insane number of people to lose.
Did something happen, or?
It just, as things do at Harvard, we had one kid who like decided he wanted to be pre-med and was like, I want to do that.
Love baseball. Yeah.
Yeah. We had another 2 that were, nursing injuries that just weren't really going to be ready in time. Yeah. And another one that just said, I'm done. And then we lost one in the draft too, that we weren't sure about.
So is that just a lot? It was just a lot of open space for more arms to come in now, right?
Yeah, we had 10 pitchers on the staff. We had 10 pitchers my junior year, and so I had 10 innings to my name up until that point, and all of a sudden I'm kind of thrust into this starting role that I had just wanted because I felt like a fish out of water in the pen all the time.
Yeah,
but I hadn't done anything to really earn the chance to start. So now I'm finally like, all right, well. I got to start because there was no one else to do it, and that was great. It was awesome to get to start.
However you can get that opportunity is fantastic. It doesn't matter how you get it.
Yeah, and there were some ups and downs that season, but there were some flashes too. Like the ERA, the numbers were not great by any means, but there were a couple games that I pitched and was like, okay, there's something there if I can just kind of uncover it a little bit. And I was doing this with the kind of not wink and a nod from the gateman, but like hey, we want to bring you down for the training camp. You'll have a chance to earn a spot on the team. No guarantees.
Yeah.
But it wasn't you'll be here for a week and then we have to cut you. It was like, we'll see. We'll see how you do. And that was all I needed. So I was kind of playing with something to look forward to. And that was very helpful as well. So like, the college season, hey, I need to do as well as I can here. And then stay ready and just kind of look at it as a growth opportunity to get to summer ball.
Yeah, man. And then we get there, and something that one of the biggest regrets that I kick myself in the butt for still is every single day when I would show up to the field, you would be there probably for an hour before everyone else, and you were working on the field.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize it at the time, but like doing stuff like that is what, makes you go from a temp to a full-time guy there the whole summer. And I saw you doing it. I was like, I should definitely do that sometime. And I was just dumb and lazy and I never did it.
Mm-hmm.
But you were there. I mean, that's not the only reason you stayed, but I feel like that's definitely a component that helps encourage the coaching staff to be like, damn, like this kid's doing this for us. Like we should keep him around. And then, you also
they also paid me for it too.
What?
Yeah, dude, that was a summer job.
I didn't realize that. Damn.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and actually that was born of the previous summer because I got down there and like, that's the kind of stuff I love to do anyway, but I had never really been taught how to fix a mound properly, like a real clay mound. We didn't have clay mounds at school, high school or college.
Yeah.
And it was the summer before. I think it was Ryan Wilson and Ryan Selmer that were like the mound guys. Um, and so they taught me at the end of that summer. And so I came back and talked to Max, Daryl Maxwell, our bench coach. Hey, Max, let me do that. Like, you need someone to do the mound. Let me do that. And they historically had paid guys to work on the field, but I was sure, like, I want to do the mound. I don't want to deal with raking. I want to do the mound. And so before and after, I would do the bullpens. I would do the game mound. I got pretty good at it, to the point where those were some of my best memories from that summer.
Those were your
showing
babies.
up early. Max is sitting out there on the bench. Say, hey, what do you know? Hey, Max, how you doing? And we load up the gator and start taking care of the field.
Was that the super old guy?
Yeah.
I kind of remember him, but not too much.
Yeah, I mean, short guy. He did the field.
Yeah.
Max and Lawler are kind of like my two surrogate granddads now.
I loved Lawler. I loved him.
I've stayed in touch with both of them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm sure he doesn't remember me, but tell him I said hello and tell him thank you for all the help on the changeup. And I still can hear his voice in the back of my head when I'm throwing it.
Yeah. So, see, he during that training camp week, he told me, hey, you've got a good changeup. You should throw it more. And that changed my career. I was like, okay, cool.
So that's what, hold on. So that right there is what led from a 5.9 ERA in the Ivy League to a 0.64 through where did it go? 28. Dude, you threw 28 innings in the best summer league in the entire country, and you had a 0.64 ERA.
Dude, don't shortchange the playoffs. Shit.
Huh?
I think I definitely broke 30 in the playoffs.
Okay, well, I have Baseball Reference up.
Oh, okay,
but
yeah.
Regardless, dude, like, holy shit.
It was the changeup. It was the fact that, I mean, like, think about who goes to that league. It's it's guys that look like you and throw 95, right?
Yeah. Well, it's everyone. It's all the best players in the country that did not go to the college playoffs and did not get invited to Team USA. So basically, the rest,
Well, and even the kids that wound up in Omaha for the College World Series, they would eventually come.
Yeah, they ended up coming out anyways too. But still, like, it's the best. You went there and you absolutely dominated.
But all that is to say that my 80. I think by that summer I might have touched 90, 91.
I feel like you were breaking 90 at that point. Yeah.
Yeah, but the point was that I was the one guy in that league that was like, I'm going to throw a curveball first pitch and second pitch and maybe third pitch too. I don't care. Like at that point it was, I'll throw a 4-seam, a 2-seam, a curveball, a changeup at any time. And the fact that we had, Massachusetts high school baseball umpires back there, that zone was a little bit wide, a little bit low, which played really well. So, granted, all of those pitches got better too. Like that was a big part of my development between then and the Wareham seasons, that I kind of hit my stride, was feeling really good. I think I picked up the curveball. One of my buddies sent me an article on Lance McCullers' curveball, like a Tom Verducci Sports Illustrated article, and it was like the knuckle, right?
Yeah.
I was like, let me try that. I pulled a baseball out, and I threw a pen at school to a folding chair. And I think the first one I threw literally broke the seat of the chair. And I was like, maybe we got something here.
That's exactly what you want out of that.
And so from there, it was like, the pitches played well. And one of the big things that Lawler really emphasized was, like, you can't walk guys. You just can't walk guys. And, in terms of ERA, like, I didn't walk very many guys that summer, and not a lot of them scored.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. I mean, that's surreal. I don't know, just like looking at that on paper, what were you thinking as you walked out of that summer? Like, you went from, no offense, 6 ERA, not great.
Really bad.
Really bad. And then to the best baseball in the country, and you had a 0.64.
I'll put it to you this way. Remember Carl Sabrin from down there? He worked security.
I don't know, man.
One of the Gateman employees who I've stayed in touch with him too. But he pulled me aside after one of the games, like, hey man, like you probably really increased your draft stock down here. I was like, what's draft stock?
All right. All right. Before you go any farther, this is one of my favorite parts of the interviews that I do. It's the if to when moment. Like, if I get drafted, it'd be really cool. To when I get drafted, it's gonna be really cool. this is that moment for you?
No.
Okay. All right. Sorry. I thought I jumped the gun there. My bad.
To when happened when I got the phone call.
Shit. All right. Well, let's stay back talking to the security guard.
So, and that was the, walking out of the summer, it was like, okay, there's a legit chance. I don't know what that chance is, but I'm not crazy in thinking that there's a chance, right? Like if I have a good senior year, there's a chance. Whereas like after my sophomore year of baseball, even after my junior year, it's like there just isn't a chance. Like who's going to take a righty from the Ivy League throwing 87 with a 5.9 ERA, right? So in that sense, leaving that summer was honestly less about the baseball and more about the people that I was leaving. In that, like I had a wonderful experience with my host family, the McKiernans. I had a wonderful experience with the coaching staff, with Lawler and Max, and the town too. Like we had, I had my own little kind of loop I would do each day. I would get up and immediately go to the Wareham Y. And those were just some of the most lovely people. Like I had explained to them what I was a temp. I didn't know if I was going to stay. And so they let me like, hey, just like give us $5 a week. And then if you stay, you can pay the rest of the membership. They're just super helpful in that regard.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
And I was always in there. So I got to know them. And then I would go from there to Perry's Last Stand, like an ice cream stand right there, get some ice cream, drive over to the field, help Max. So I really had kind of a little slice of heaven in Wareham that summer. And there were a couple of times where I was driving to the field and kind of like started tearing up because it was the first time in my life that I knew I was in the glory days while I was in them.
Oh.
And having that sort of appreciation for where your feet are was so powerful to just kind of say, all right, well, I got to enjoy every second of this because at that point, I didn't know if I was going to get to play after college. It might not get better. And if it doesn't, this is one of those things that I'll be able to talk about for the rest of my life and talk about with a smile on my face.
Well, I mean, so far how your career is going, it looks like you're going to be able to continue talking about the glory days and, you're still living through them.
Still living through them.
But yeah,
it was a special summer and the people, like the organization, the host family that took me in, and they came up to Harvard to see some games after that, and so the if to win moment, if you want to jump to that, actually occurred in Wareham the following summer, because I finished up my senior year. I had a good senior year to the point where I was like, okay, this. Well, I have legitimized what I did on the Cape.
You went out there and you had a 2.9, absolutely dominated. But more importantly, something that we are not skipping over by any means at all. Was it a perfect game or was it a no-hitter against your rival, Yale?
Okay, we're going into that one.
Hell yeah, we're talking about it because I remember walking to class, seeing on Twitter like college baseball alert, no-hitter incoming for Noah Zavolas, and I was like, holy shit, I know him.
That guy.
I know that guy.
Well, so there's a little background to that. I guess if we want to do the whole senior year, I come back from Wareham.
Well, I know you don't have that much time, so we can just go through as much as you got. As much time as you can.
Well, so I guess that would have been the most important part of senior year, right? So it was non-traditional in that we don't play Friday night games in the Ivy League. We play 2 Saturday, 1 Sunday. That was but either it was like supposed to rain on Sunday, and Yale not being that far from Cambridge, we got on the bus Friday morning, probably noon Friday, and drove down to New Haven. And so it was a little bit special in that I'm going to get to pitch a night game, right? That hadn't happened in a while. But Friday night, we get to New Haven, and this is low budget. Like you get there, you change in the dugout. It was cool, but still very much a college baseball kind of deal. And they have this beautiful old AA park. It was their first year with turf there.
Oh, wow.
Historic spot, flag flying in dead center, really pretty park. And I'm just like, I'm enjoying it. It's unseasonably warm that Friday night. And so I'm thinking like, this is really cool.
Did you start to feel it was a special night?
It was a special night just because it was a night game.
All right, there we go. That's fair
anyone who's ever played baseball knows like it's just meant to be played.
Night games are yes.
It's just a beautiful thing. Plus, it being that close, both my parents were there, and my host family from Wareham was there.
Oh, that's even better.
They were like, it's Friday night. Oh, Noah's pitching. Let's go see a game. Whatever. Yeah. They like went on a whim. And then one of my best friends from high school who went to Providence College, he also said, he's pitching. I'll go. Whatever.
Oh my God. That's fantastic.
So I had this like really fortuitous group of fans there too. And things are going well. First inning, second inning, third inning. And, when do you really realize what's going on? It's late in the game. Like you get through the order twice and you can maybe start to think about it.
Start peeking around. You're like, wait a second.
It's like that line from For Love of the Game. Anybody got on base? Like you forget, like, oh yeah, nothing's, because it had been a perfect game up until that fateful moment where I screwed up a PFP.
Oh no.
Yeah. So our first baseman made a diving stop, like really nice play over there, and I'm running over to cover the bag, and it just like a good throw, probably like head height, and it just tips off the fingers of my glove, and and at that point I was fortunate because they could have given it a hit if they had wanted to.
I would have lost my mind. There would have been a riot.
It was clear that someone screwed up, and that someone was me.
Yeah. And
so in that sense, I think that allowed me to kind of stay in the moment, stay present, way more than if it was like a ground ball that our third baseman had airmailed into the stands. Because then I'm like, dude, fuck this guy.
Dude, what are you doing? Yeah.
As much as you're like, okay, just stay even keel when you're 7 innings into a perfect game and someone else screws it up. I want to be the one that messes it up.
Fair enough.
But I got out of that inning without anything else. Get to the bottom 9, and I walk a guy on a pitch that, like, I like to think if I had not made the error, the ump would have rung him up. It was just like fastball at the top of the zone. And then so he's on first, and then I punched the next guy out and it was like a kind of a stutter step celebration because like he swung and missed. It was clearly strike 3. The ball skittered away, and so I was like, okay, I got it. And then I had like everything.
You had to hold your breath for a second.
Yeah, on Jake Allen, like fielding that ball and making a good throw to first, and he did. And then it was, all hell broke loose. And that was one of the coolest celebrations to be part of. In terms of like, it wasn't a dog pile, but
everyone just runs out and gives you a big hug, and
everyone's out there on the field. The Yale coach came over and shook my hand. I got to eventually meet some of the Yale players afterwards.
That's cool.
It was, like at the end of the night, it was like I was the last one on the field. Everyone else was on the bus, and I was still like
you're still like
or like taking a picture with my dad.
Dude, that's surreal, and that's even better that like all those people were just like happened to all be at that game to watch. Such a special moment.
The irony is that the Ivy League Digital Network did not cover it.
No,
it was supposed to rain, and so they didn't want to put the cameras out, I guess.
Oh my God.
So I have not been able to find a full tape of that night. I do have a very nice video of the last pitch, which is really special to me.
That's probably up there with some of the best.
Yeah,
that's the clip you want
to see the full thing again.
That's the clip you want.
I can go and watch the Wareham games if I want to, but
it's not bad. Yeah, damn, that's a special moment. But no hitter is probably up there with some of your best baseball memories all the time. But later on in the spring, going into the summer is probably the most important day in a professional baseball player's life. It's when he goes pro and he gets drafted. Can you talk about that experience?
Yeah. And so I had done a few pre-draft workouts
with which teams, if you don't mind.
Yeah. Well, actually, I saw Justin Hagenman at a Dodgers workout in Philadelphia.
Okay.
Super random, but it's like, oh, dude, what's up?
Yeah.
So that was cool. And then the best one was at Fenway, and so that was really cool for me to be able to go
special,
and be inside that ballpark and throw on the mound. Neither of those teams ended up picking me, but what I kind of had noodled around for a little while was that, hey, this is potentially a really big day. And if it happens, I want it to happen in Wareham. And so I hit up my host family and said, "Hey, would you mind if I came down for draft day? Can I come sleep in the little yellow room?" They're like, "Yeah, absolutely." So I was in Wareham on for the entirety of the draft. I actually got a call from the Brewers in the 10th. They said, "Hey, we're going to pick you here." I was like, "Oh my God, it's going to happen." And then the 10th and the 11th and the 12th round go by and nothing. And they call back like, "Hey, it's like we just couldn't get you cleared in time," or something like that. I'm still unclear about what that deal was. But fast forward the next day, I got a text from the Mariners scout. He said, "Hey, you're up next." And that's when if became when. Is this guy
everything in your brain just went, holy shit, it's actually happening. It's actually happening.
Yeah. When my host dad said, "Oh, there's your name on the computer. Like, it's in. The pick is in. You've been drafted." That was when started.
Damn.
So I immediately I rushed over to Spillane to the ballpark and the gatemen were practicing. I was like, "Waller, I got drafted. One of the Mariners."
Dad, come here, look.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was great to just kind of like run back on that field and be like, "Yeah, this happened, and it happened because of this place." And that was a really special part of it all.
Dude, that's fantastic. You got to share that moment with Wareham and that whole experience and how much you loved it. And that's so fantastic to hear.
Yeah,
there's really no other word.
Yeah, it was a very full circle moment for me, and having those people be there, I think that was like because what you're going to remember about draft day is not that you got drafted; it's about like who you were with.
Oh yeah. 100%.
And I mean, there was always some uncertainty. There was always like, I don't know. No one's called me and said, "Hey, like, you're definitely going to get picked." So I was hoping for like 20th, 30th, anything.
Yeah. You just want to get called. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Wolfram was the pick after me.
To the Rangers?
Back to back. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. It was like, oh, well.
Wait, what round was it again? What round was it again?
18th.
18th? Okay.
Yeah.
I beat you.
Yeah.
17th.
You junior. It was cool. Like, everything kind of came together. Like, I saw your name. I saw Wolfram's name. I saw German's name earlier. So like the three temp guys that had stayed the whole summer wound up getting picked in the same draft, and that was pretty special too.
It's not bad at all, man. It's not bad at all. But dude, I gotta say, as great as that is, your summer after getting drafted is an absolute freaking roller coaster. And I remember talking to you about it because you played all over the place, right?
That's right. Yep. Okay.
You were in. Not only you go to short season where that's where all the draft picks go. You went to high A.
Yep.
Which is nuts to begin with. But then not only that, you also went to AAA too, right?
I did go to AAA.
You went to AAA in your first couple months. That is insane.
And that was, I mean, that whole time frame, that was like a 2-week span where I show up to rookie ball as a reliever, right? Like, I'm not in the rotation.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of in the mix in the pen. And so when I go to high A, it was actually my mom and sister had flown out to see me. And that night, like, they landed, and then I got a call from my manager saying, "Hey, you got to go to Modesto tomorrow."
Oh my God.
So I went to Modesto. I was there for just long enough to think that they might have me finish the season there.
Yeah.
And so I had found a host family, and all that was great. And then I got to go back. Like, they sent someone from AA down to high A, and it was like, all right, well, thanks, but see ya. So I get back to Everett. I think I'm there for a day and a half, and then I'm standing in right field shagging BP, and they're like, come on in. Like, someone's yelling at me and waving their hands.
Like, what the hell is this?
And so I jog in thinking, no, like, what did I do? I'm just standing here shagging fly balls, right? They're like, yeah, so Tacoma needs a starter tonight. You're gonna get an Uber right now. I'm just like, are you fucking with me? That was verbatim what I asked him. He's like, no, go get an Uber.
No part of that sounds like it's a real story, but it is.
You got to go through Seattle. You got Everett's north and Tacoma is south. You got to go through the city.
I was gonna say I didn't even know where Everett was. I didn't know where anything was.
At rush hour, it was like a 2-hour drive. I show up to the ballpark in Tacoma. I think it was like 6:15, in street clothes with like a duffel bag with all my baseball stuff. And I ran up to like the right field gate attendant and said, "Hey, I'm supposed to pitch in half an hour." And I don't know why they believed me, but they were like, "Okay, come this way." And they sent me to the bullpen bathroom. I changed and like went in and met the manager and the pitching coach, and all of a sudden I was in AAA, which is very different from rookie ball.
Which is very different from any baseball experience anyone should ever have.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And so they were like, "Hey, just relax. You're not going to start because it's too late. We're going to bullpen it, but stay ready. You're going to pitch." Okay, cool. I got my uniform and was like, feeling great in a jersey.
You're looking around in a AAA uniform or a AAA stadium, which is significantly bigger than the short A stadiums.
Yeah, certainly. And you're sitting there with Gordon Beckham and Mark Zebchinski, like guys I've watched play on TV, and kind of
some dudes.
These guys have been in the league for 10 years. I've been in the league for 10 minutes. And
not even the league, a league. You've been in a league. Yeah.
Literally any league. But, just kind of walked out to the pen with everyone else. And generally those guys are good about understanding, hey, this dude just got drafted. We're going to keep it low key. Right. So bullpen shenanigans were bullpen shenanigans as they are.
Healthy amount.
Yeah. Played some bocce, spat some seeds. And I think I didn't even get a call that night. They were able to cover the game.
Yeah.
And they say, hey, and so I come back into the clubhouse afterwards, and I have no idea what the next hour of my life is going to hold. They call me in and say, hey, stay here. Like, you're going to pitch tomorrow. We're going to need someone in relief tomorrow. So they put me up at the team hotel. I, do my thing. I get back to the ballpark the next day, and the starter goes like 6 shutty or something like that. I mean, a dude who hadn't gone more than 4 innings all year is like working through the 7th inning. And then they had 2 big league rehabbers, James Pazos and Dan Altavia, I think. And so I didn't pitch.
Damn, that's that's kind of a bummer.
Back. Yeah. Then they were like, all right, well, go back to Everett.
Damn.
And so,
it's still pretty surreal, like 2 days where you're just like hanging out, and all of a sudden you're like, I'm going to AAA, to 3 A's.
Yeah.
I'm going there. What?
That's a lot of A's.
That's a lot of A's.
But you realize that the game doesn't change. Everything around it changes, but what goes on the field, guys are more consistent. Guys have sharper stuff, but ultimately, it's still baseball.
The mental strength coaches with the Pirates said that one of their favorite quotes from McCutchen was, the only difference between AAA and the big leagues is the extra deck of seating at the place. Everything else is the same. It's the same exact game, the same talent, the same players. It's just that extra level of seating.
Yeah. Oh, I believe it. I mean, it's tough to imagine what the big leagues is like. But then again, it was tough to imagine what A ball would be like going from rookie ball. Like when I went to Modesto, I was like, oh my God, this is high. I'm skipping.
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And okay. It's a little different, but
yeah. When I was in rookie ball, I looked at high A as like this place just miles away that I was lucky if I was going to make it there ever in my life.
Right.
And the next summer after playing in the GCL, I was in that high A league, and I was like, oh shit, I'm here. Like, this is awesome. This is great.
Cool. Yeah. You learn to get your feet wet quick, right? So there's no, you shorten the adjustment period. You become one of the guys really quick, and then it's just baseball.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Put it, man. But your insane 2018 did not stop there. Because I remember laying in bed one night, like trying to fall asleep, and I'm watching MLB Network, and all of a sudden, breaking news: the Mariners and the Brewers have a deal in place to send Ben Gamel. And then I see your name run across the ticker as well. I was like, oh shit! I was like, you just got traded.
I know that kid again.
Yeah. What was that like? What was the phone call like? Were you like, damn it, that sucks? What were you thinking?
No, I was in the gym at school, and I got a couple follows from Brewers Twitter reporters, couple Twitter follows. I don't know. That's kind of weird.
That's very odd.
Yeah. Texted one of my buddies like, hey, maybe I got traded. Ha ha ha. Got a third follow. And then for the first time in my life, I Googled myself and promptly learned that I've been traded. Shortly thereafter, even told you? Shortly thereafter, I got a phone call. Apparently, it got out before it should have. I mean, these things happen quite a lot, I think. And as trades go, it was very smooth in that, it was the off season, so I didn't have to pick up my life and move anywhere. The sun rose the next day, and I did the same exact thing I would have done if I was still in there. But that night was pretty wild. Like I saw the article. I was like, okay, I guess I better shower off. Like I got done in the gym and went and got a meal and kind of camped out in one of the dorm basements and was just like calling people, texting people, on the phone with my agent a lot. But just kind of trying to make that transition and do it the right way. And, so a lot of the Mariners coaches that I had interacted with in high A and rookie ball, and even at the Arizona complex, I just kind of sent them a note saying thank you. And then, had a few preliminary conversations with the Brewers. And the farm director called me, the pitching coordinator called me. And really the only thing I wanted to know was, hey, am I going to get a chance to start? And they said, yes, we want to give you a chance to start. That's okay. Awesome. This is going to be great. Yeah. And ironically, maybe a month or two before, the Mariners had traded Michael Plasmeyer, who was my roommate in rookie ball. He traded him to the Rays, and I had the conversation with him, called him and said, hey man, I asked him the same questions you're asking me. And his response was basically like, at the end of the day, you're going somewhere that someone wants you more. Right.
Yep. That's what pretty much everyone says when they talk about being traded or being involved in a trade, anything like that.
Yeah. And so there was never any sort of bad blood about like, oh, I wish they hadn't traded me or anything like that. And as opportunities go, I think it was great in that I got a chance to go right to high A. I got a chance to be a starter with the Brewers, and that panned out really well. So
I would say so.
When the chips settled, when the dust settled, it was like, okay, my life didn't change dramatically. I just report to somewhere different for spring training. And, I'm wearing something different on the chest. But other than that, as we've said, it's still baseball.
Yeah. I mean, and as far as I can tell, I was trying to Google it, but I know this is true. You won minor league pitcher of the year for the Brewers last year, or 2019, right?
Carolina League Pitcher of the Year.
Oh, I thought it was. Oh, my bad.
Aaron Ashby took home minor league pitcher of the year.
Okay.
Well, very, very talented lefty who I think he split the season. Yeah, he was low A and high A with us.
Okay. Either way, dude, like winning an award like that, pitcher of the year for any, whether it's the organization or the league, is still a fantastic honor to get. Man, what was as you went through the year, did you kind of see that happening, or were you just like, oh, I'm just going to keep playing my game, playing as well as I can?
It was not something that I even thought about. Until like halfway. It's just like I didn't have the mental capacity. I didn't even think about that as something that was possible, even though I was pitching well, because it was all so new. It was the first time adjusting to a 5-day rotation, to a full season of pro ball. There was just so much else on my mind that, made the end of the year stuff kind of inconsequential at that point. And it actually worked out that I pitched so many innings in the first part of the season that by the half, I knew I was going to get shut down. I think I had 90 innings at the half, and there was no way they were letting me go over like 140.
Yeah. So I kind of was like, what, 133?
Yeah.
Damn, so the Brewers care about how many innings you throw. I wish that happened for me.
Well, I came from, I finished rookie ball with 100 innings on the year between college and rookie ball. And so I think what they were looking for is like percentage jump.
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
Yeah. So that was where they got their cap.
All right.
And that, that basically shut me down in beginning of August. Yeah. First week of August. And so from then on, I was just kind of had nothing else to think about. And I was watching one of the other guys in down east, like he was shoving pretty good. And so I was like, well, there's nothing I can do about this.
It's just out of your hands at that point.
Yeah, it was just out of my hands. And then our manager, we were in Myrtle Beach, and our manager read off the end of the year All-Stars. And so I was on it, and a couple of other of our guys were on it too. And then he's like, and I'm thinking, okay, well, that's it. I didn't get it. And then he kind of pauses there. All right, now for the really good news. And he announces that both Mario Feliciano, our catcher, and I won our respective leagues pitcher and player of the year awards.
Damn, that's special.
So that was like a big kind of clubhouse moment.
Yeah.
And then I got to go out and watch a baseball game. It was that simple.
There's nothing better, man. There's nothing better.
Yeah, it was cool. And I the other decision factor too, in that, like, when I got shut down, they were saying, hey, you should just go home, right? Because you're not going to play anymore.
I thought that for a second. I was like, could you have gone home? But I was like, that's definitely a bad look to just leave and go home. But
no, Joe, our manager, was like, you should go home. Go be with your family. They were telling me to. I was like, I don't want to leave. I knew at that point, I had a similar kind of Wareham moment where I realized, like, I want to be on the bus back from our last road trip of the year. I want to be with the guys. I want to finish this season.
Mm.
And I'm so glad I did, partly because it meant I got to be with the guys when the awards were announced, but also because it was really important to just kind of go start to finish. As someone who, I was there from game one. I didn't get moved up. I didn't get moved down. Didn't spend any time on the IL or in Arizona. I had spent a lot of time there, and I wanted to finish it strong.
That's awesome. I think that says a lot about you too, to want to stay there the whole year. Like, I know there's definitely some guys that I've run into in the past couple of years that would be like, I can go home. All right, see you later.
Oh, sure.
Bye, guys. Yeah. But it says something that you're like, no, I want to stay here. I want to be with the boys. I want to, keep going through this experience as you guys all are too. Because, hopefully the goal one day is that, all you and all those guys are on the big leagues together.
Right.
And if you do something like that, then it could stick with someone.
I stayed because about half those guys no longer play baseball.
And that's just the way 2020 is gone, which is just such a shame. And yeah. It's
one of those things where I can look back and say, I got every drop of that experience, every second with those guys that I could have. I have no regrets.
Absolutely. Really that's very important. But speaking of 2020, man, it's a year that sucked for everybody. It was not a good time. I think everyone tried to make the most out of it, but it's not going to be the same without playing a baseball season. Like I had so much fun in 2019 playing my first pro year, and you did too, obviously.
Yeah.
What did you do during that whole, Corona shutdown? Like, what were you just training like crazy, hoping to get back out there and do something?
Yeah. So the spring training shutdown occurred after Massachusetts had declared a state of emergency. And so I was not motivated to return home. I thought, okay, that's going to be a nightmare if I have to go back to Massachusetts and can't train. Like, gyms aren't open. There's nothing I can do. And the Brewers had told me, like, hey, stay ready. I told everyone that too. But basically, I stayed in Arizona. I stayed at the team apartments. I had a job at that point. And so I carved out a little life for myself there in Avondale, Arizona. I found a place to train, and we ran live at bats on Fridays. And so it was a simulated season.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't by any means, the equivalent of a AA experience, but it was pretty good. And that summer bled into the fall where I was at Instructs with the Brewers. And that was at least a chance to, put the uniform on and throw against some outside competition. So that was really nice to at least get the wheels spinning again. And there was just a tremendous amount of growth in my mind that went on during that time, from a pitching standpoint. Like I needed some work. The Carolina season was all well and good, but ultimately there was going to be kind of a glass ceiling if I couldn't really consistently sit 90, 91.
Okay.
And that was, I was fully bought into that. I need to be able to do this to show that I can pitch at the higher levels. And so the off season directly following Carolina was targeted at that. And so was the shutdown period, where I was kind of using it as a lab, kind of throwing it back to my Yawkey League days, where there wasn't any sort of stress about evaluation. It was just, hey, what's going to work?
Yeah.
Like, how
You're
am I
just rolling
feeling?
out there saying, hey, is this going to work better than this?
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
A
Try
versus
some
B,
things.
things like that.
I started throwing a cutter, figured out a 2-seam, like some things that are like tangible.
Add some tools to the arsenal.
Yeah. And then started moving better on the mound too, like kind of revamping my delivery a little bit, to the point where I'm definitely in a better position now than I was. And I'm just excited to kind of roll it out over the course of the season.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. You excited to get it going this year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually drove through Biloxi, where our AA team is, on the way home from Phoenix. And it's a cool little spot. I was there and just, I could feel the baseball. I was ready.
Feel the baseball. That's a great quote.
Yeah.
It's a great clip. I'm clipping that.
It's a cool little spot.
Yeah.
And, it seems like it's very different from where our high A is. So Zebulon is a rural town in North Carolina, beautiful trees everywhere. And then Biloxi is like casinos everywhere.
That's not bad. That's a good time.
It's a very different feel. Like, you get foot traffic to the stadium where you didn't in Carolina.
I gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah,
dude. I was in North Carolina for a little bit, and they love baseball there, man. They freaking love it.
Absolutely. The water towers, something special.
Yeah. But yeah, no, so I think we just kind of did talk about it, but like, your expectations for 2021 being in AA and hopefully trying to make it to AAA at some point.
Yeah. And our AAA just switched to Nashville, which is a cool spot as well.
That's awesome. I didn't know that. I thought they were still with the Rangers. Okay.
No. So I don't know where the Rangers are now, but we are in Nashville.
Dude, that's where you want to be, man. Nashville's a great spot.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it all. I have a host family set up in Biloxi, so that's great. I'm excited to get going, and I mean, really, wherever the game takes me, I'll be just fine. I know I have a lot of good things going, and some job security, and that I'll at least get a chance. Like, I will get a chance to throw a pitch in 2021, and that's all I can ask for.
That's the most important part, man. Just getting a chance. Dude, this has been absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much for coming on. I got 2 last questions that I'd like to ask everybody before we close it out. The first question is when are the Brewers winning the next World Series?
I like to think my guy David Stearns is planning some stuff.
More importantly, when you guys going to lose to us in the NLCS?
Were you with the Pirates, right? Aren't you guys still throwing sinkers?
Hey, we're coming for you. We're coming for everybody. All right. I say this every episode.
Give you guys a decade to get to spin rate.
We are coming for everybody.
I don't know. I'm thinking we, in the not too distant future, there's some stuff in the works, some stuff brewing. Not to worry.
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
The Brewers are
good
brewing.
resistance.
I gotcha. Well, hey, hopefully I see you there soon. Hopefully we're both there battling against each other.
No doubt.
Fighting for the NL Central and making that the whole division.
Yeah, PNC to American Family Field is not too far.
God, that's such a shame that it's American Family Field now.
Yeah,
Miller Park was great.
Miller Park was a great name.
Oh, that's such
no
a
disrespect
shame.
to American Family Fields or
not at all, not at all. But Miller Park, for the Brewers, that's a great name. Yeah,
it's iconic. Yeah,
iconic. But anyways, the last question I like to ask everybody before we close it out is if there is any advice you could give 16-year-old Noah Zavolas, what would it be?
When was I 16, Brad? Is that junior year of high school?
That around that time period.
Yeah.
Because I know I was a pretty dumb kid, and I would have definitely loved to have gotten, here's some advice from minor leaguers back then. So that's why I like to ask everybody.
Well, when I was 16, I was already at Cressy. I had a lot of the habits that I didn't realize were going to serve me well, and that's almost entirely to my family's credit and to Cressy's credit. Like, being in those environments, I was put in those environments and flourished there. If I was going to tell something to that kid, let's say, hey, stay the course. But I would also try and get him to, get out of his shell a little bit, talk to some people more. Like I was always the kid that kind of showed up to the gym and was quiet and just did his work. But I remember being in environments with guys like Blake Trinan, guys like Corey Kluber before they made it, when they were, 3A, 4A type guys, and just picking people's brains.
I gotcha.
That like what you're doing right now, just talking to people. I wish I had done that more, and kind of really been able to appreciate the environments I was in and say, okay, I'm going to get everything out of it while I'm here, and not have to look back on it like that.
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean right now, because I'm down at the Florida Cressy facility, and it's just insane. Like there's just big leaguers everywhere. I have not taken an advantage, like that much of an advantage of like talking to guys, because part of it is like I don't want to like interrupt them while they're getting their work in, but like they definitely have some great knowledge, great insight to stuff that I'm like I want to go ask them a million questions, but I know
you don't want to be the starry-eyed kid, but you also you want to know how they throw that slider, right?
Yeah. Dude, hey, Scherzer walked in for the first.
How do you do that?
Yeah. Scherzer walked in one day and I hadn't seen him yet, and I see him and I'm doing like cable rows and I just go, I was like, shit,
oh my God.
I was like, oh my God, it's Max Scherzer. Oh my God.
That is one really nice thing about CSP Mass is that, everyone goes to Florida because it's warm. And so we don't have the star power, and the big leaguers that we have right now, like Oliver Drake, is the most personable guy you'll ever meet.
Dude, I came to do get a couple remote programs from CSP Mass.
Yeah.
He is the best. He is just so loud and just talking to everybody. Yes. And it
doesn't matter if it's like a 12-year-old kid or a guy who's in AA.
Yeah.
Like he's chopping it up.
It's fantastic. Every time I see him on TV, I'm rooting for him.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of good guys in the CSP Mass and Florida circles.
Yeah. The CSP family, man.
Yes, sir.
Thank you again so much for coming on, dude. Really appreciate it.
Dude.
Thank you guys for checking out another episode of the Minor League Take. I've been your host, Brad Case. I hope you guys enjoyed that, learned something from it. Go check out Noah on social medias. He's a pretty easy guy to find. You'll see his name in the episode title, so should be able to find that pretty easily. Let me know also what you guys think of, a little like 5-minute riff of me in the beginning of the episode. If you guys like it, I'll keep going. If not, I'll shut the hell up and just give you guys the interview straight. But yeah, hopefully you guys are all doing well. You guys are enjoying these episodes. But don't forget to interact with me on social media. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys have any ideas for guests coming up. Yeah, I'm excited. 2021 season's getting underway. I cannot freaking wait for this thing to get going. Just to see baseball again. And now that, it sounds like people are going to be allowed to be at the stadiums, I can't freaking wait. It's nice to see things are starting to return to normal. And, just getting baseball back in our lives, at least in my life, is going to make a significant difference. But seriously, let me know what you guys think of the episodes. Tell me what you do don't like. You can find the pages at the MILB Take on Instagram, at MILB Take on Twitter. And then, of course, you can always find me, Brad_Queso, on Instagram and Twitter. Pretty easy guy to find there. And, yeah, don't really got much else, but, have a good one, guys, and see you next time.